Here's why you should be excited that AI is going to take your job.
Everyone's scared that AI is going to take our jobs and we're not going to be employable. We're all going to be broke and have a terrible future. But today we're going to look at some things that Sam Altman has said in blog articles and podcasts, as well as do some economic analysis mixed with looking at some government policies to see why it's actually a future that we should be excited for.
With each human innovation, there comes around different jobs and different opportunities that the past generation couldn't even fathom. And we're going to talk about how AI is that next innovation and what the future could potentially look like.
And some of the most pivotal innovations actually created what we call a revolution. So we have fire as the first one. That is a technology that humans discovered that really set us off from just primates, from just animals to the creative beings that we are today.
Then we had the agricultural revolution, which changed the way that human beings thought about food, right? It meant that we had new technology like farming, which made it so that we weren't nomadic and we could stay in one place and civilizations could start to grow and foster.
And once we're able to stay in the same place and start creating these civilizations, we wanted these civilizations to be as big and great as possible, meaning that we wanted quality of life to improve. This led us to the Industrial Revolution, where we mass produced everything in factories and created efficient capital and labor sources to further improve that quality of life.
And now we're jumping a little bit into the more modern revolution, which is the digital revolution. Some of you might be able to remember that, but it centers around Y2K and the introduction of technology into society.
Yeah, and at the turn of the century, now we have the information age, whereas it's all about data and all of the world's knowledge is accessible at your fingertips.
And finally, we have the AI revolution, which is the thing that we're going to be talking about today and the event that could change the course of the next decade and possibly the next century.
And so the thing that we're going to highlight today is that, fire and agriculture had a massive gap between them. And there was also a massive gap between our agricultural and industrial revolution, but not nearly that of fire and agriculture. But then we have the digital, information, and AI revolutions, which are seemingly only decades apart. What we want to highlight is that this is not a bunch of separate revolutions. This, in fact, is one revolution, the human technological revolution. And we are on this curve that is getting steeper and steeper by day. And the technological innovations that we're going to see in our lifetimes, in the next couple decades, are going to be collectively greater than all of the other technological innovations that we've seen throughout human history. And I think that is so exciting for the future of humans.
With that being said, let's dive into what the AI revolution actually is. To understand what the AI revolution is, we have to understand the basics of wealth. So wealth can be impacted in two different ways. First, people can gain more money or prices can drop. With the AI revolution, it's going to cause prices to dramatically drop like we've never seen before.
So I'm graduating with my degree in economics in the next 2 months. And I think in this next minute or two, I'm going to be able to explain everything that I learned in my 4-year degree. But prices are basically going to fall because the means of production are going to lower significantly. This means that supply is going to increase, demand is going to decrease. And, that's the supply demand curve. That's pretty much all I've learned, I guess, is prices are going to fall. And the reason that all commodities are going to be able to be produced at a much higher level is because of this production function. So at the simplest level, you have K as capital and L as labor. Capital are, buildings, equipment, those type of things. And L is human labor, the time that humans put in with their own hands getting dirty. And at a simple level, this is what increases production. But if we look at another type of production function, which is a Cobb-Douglas production function, we here have this A, this alpha, and this alpha represents a technology coefficient, meaning that as technology improves, so does efficiency. It doesn't just have to do with capital and labor. And the thing that we're so excited about with AI is that this technological coefficient is going to skyrocket, and it's going to increase productivity more than we have ever seen before.
And this is where the importance of policy comes in. If governments, and let's take the US for example, are able to implement new plans where they redistribute the wealth that are made from these technologies like AI, making things more efficient, this can create a world where everybody lives a better life. And that leads us to the American Equity Fund, which Sam Altman has talked about in several different mediums.
The idea of the American Equity Fund is that we tax two things. We tax the companies that are using AI for the means of production and are going to be having these massive revenues because of that, and the land that these companies are being built on. Because land is a finite resource. It's going to improve with value as new things are being built on top of that. And as the US is producing more, we're able to redistribute this out to each of the American citizens in the form of like a dividend. So everyone over the age of 18, let's say, would be paid a certain amount of this equity fund each year. And so as the US is improving, so will the amount that this dividend will pay out. So it will incentivize all Americans to be part of this. You know, it's the basis of capitalism. It's just in a new lens. You know, currently this is talked about in governments. I don't know too much about politics, but UBI, universal basic income, is this idea that the government will pay a certain amount to each citizen to help with the basic necessities. And Sam is saying with the American Equity Fund, we're going to be able to pay a much greater UBI. The government doesn't have to just rely on taxes and other programs like that.
So one of the fears that everybody worries about around AI is that it gets into the hands of the wrong people. Yes, that's a huge concern with a bunch of different things in this world, but as long as an equal amount of good people get their hands on AI and work towards a better future, it'll be able to offset those concerns.
Another obvious con is that these policies don't get enacted and the governments are going to be able to keep all the revenue from themselves. You know, this is something that we do have to be working on in the future. And excitingly, the Senate is currently attending these AI Insight forums in which they are trying to work on that. So Bill Gates and Sam Altman talk about in their podcast how great these senators are and how interested they are in making these technologies as beneficial to the people as the masses as possible by enacting these policies.
Now, there's an unlimited upside to the AI revolution. There's less poverty, it creates a more unified world, and it doesn't create a world of socialism. It keeps the competition in, it keeps capitalism across the entire world, and it makes for everybody working toward a better planet.
So everything that we talked about in this video is obviously just one small piece of the puzzle that is fitting this technology into our daily lives. But the fact of the matter is that these technological innovations are coming. So we have to collaboratively do our best to make it as seamless of an integration as possible. If we can get this right, I think this future is super exciting. Obviously, there's downtimes and obviously change is scary, but I think that no matter what we do, it's going to be great.
And that wraps up our second video. I mean, if you're starting to like our channel and starting to follow us, we'd appreciate the support. Comment down below. Tell me about your thoughts about the video. We have a pretty exciting future ahead of us, and we'd love to know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, and I don't know if you watched our first video, but we talked about how everything is going to be incremental improvements with this channel. And I think that we've done a better job than the first video, and we're excited to keep on learning, keep on getting better, keep on producing better content for, you know, everyone who's watching. And we really appreciate you guys being here. Yeah.
Yeah, and we like to end it off on a cool little note. Connell, if you do us the honors of doing the little equation.
Yeah. So what is onces plus onces?
Yep, that's going to be deuces.